Good afternoon. It's it's September 12th. I wanted to talk to you about containers. I've started doing some containers, and I don't know if you can see, I planted this. I had bought some discounted flowers. I bought some, let's see, it was, what have I got? I got some salvias. I bought them for $3. That's perennial. And then I bought these super bells, and they're yellow, and then like a pink, red, and purple. Bought those for $1. So they, let's see. Well, I don't see the dollar on there. Anyway, I have some of those for $1. Now, this is how I do a container. This has got to fill out. I'm hoping now this will make it for the winter. This won't, but anyway, it's not time for pansies, and I can't show you step by step what I'm doing, but I've got some stuff set up, so I'm hoping that you can understand how I do a container. And the one thing I'm trying to say is, so pots like this can take a whole bag of soil, and they take a whole bag of soil, these pots here. So what I've done, now where I live, there's a lot of oak trees. So I got not quite half. I got oak leaves in there. And I had a pepper plant that I needed to compost. That it was not going to put off any more peppers. I picked the peppers off. And so I needed some greens. So that's what I do. I layer. I use kitchen scraps, or either I got some marigolds in here I cut up. And so you wet the leaves and wet your greens, whatever you have. And then I take some dirt and put on top of it. And then that way you don't have to use a whole bag of soil. Now, I kind of did this with this pot in the spring. Similar process. And I wanted to show you. It will create leaf mold. Let's see, I did this in the spring, so I'm digging deep down into the container. I filled this container halfway up with leaves, and then half of dirt. And it sinks down when you put the leaves on it. But my pepper plant got huge. Now, this has been breaking down, and then that way, when you're doing a pot this size, you don't have to put a whole bag of dirt in it. Now, I'm starting containers for fall, so the pepper plant that I broke down was in this pot, and it loved the leaves. I put a little bit of kitchen scraps. I put some fresh dirt in there, some peat moss, and then I did fertilize it through the summer every 3 months, and it did well in the pot. And you do have to fertilize in pots because they can't get the nutrients from the soil. And so I did just, wanted to show you. And then now, instead, I have a bag of dirt, but I'm not using the whole bag. When I have a pot, I'm starting another pot. Okay, I'm breaking this up. You got to go all the way down, and when you've had something in here, whatever plant you had in here, you got to mix all this up. Hoping you can see. Try to do this one-handed. Then, see, and this is gonna make great soil. I mean, it's still got needs to break down. Got some leaf mold, and I got the dirt that I had, and then the peppers was in here. So then. See, now I've already got some good leaf mold going. Hopefully there's some worms in the bottom. This is a little dry. I always throw worms in my pots when I can, but sometimes worms do find themselves in pots. And so you break this up really good. And you want to make sure you break it up really good before you start another pot. Go all the way to the bottom. Because these leaves, it's set here. So see, all the roots went all the way down. So I'm going to break this up. Then I had this dirt from another pot. And then so I take, I thought I had some peat moss. I do. I get a big old bag. I'll try to show you. I showed in one video. And when you're getting peat moss, get this. It don't matter what brand, but get at Lowe's, they have this big brick. It's I think it's 3 cubics. It's like $10, $10, $11. And when I'm doing containers, that usually lasts me to do the containers for the year, for the spring or the fall. So instead of putting more dirt in here, I take some peat moss, and it's not a direct science. If you're starting fresh and you don't have no leaves, I think the rule is for a pot this size, I'm not sure what size this is, pretty big, you take half peat moss and half dirt and mix it together. And then I always mix my containers with some of this perlite, or you can use vermiculite, and that gives it some air. So you want to get this mixed up really good. Try not to bore you with just me mixing. But you put the peat moss in there. And this has already had some peat moss and it's got leaves in it, so I'm not going to put as much peat moss as if I didn't have leaves. And then I incorporate some fresh dirt into it. And then that way, I'm not buying bag after bag after bag of dirt. So then you put a little bit of fresh dirt in there, a little fresh pot and soil, and you mix it in together. And that's the process. And so I've got to put some more soil in this and some more peat moss and mix this up. And then I'm going to plant some more flowers in here because I've got these super bells in here that I've got to get planted. So I hope that I've explained myself well. I hope you can understand the process of fixing a container that's not expensive. You can use leaves and kitchen scraps. You can compost and place in your pots for the spring, and then in the fall, then you got more dirt. So you're not using a whole bag of dirt for a huge pot. And I hope you like, share, and subscribe.